Hey everybody, it's Nate here again with Create with Nate. And on today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I solved the problem that basically I would think every parent would have, especially if you've got a young boy, and that is, what do you do with all the Nerf guns? Our basement is just littered with Nerf guns, constantly stepping on them everywhere. We tried bins, storage bins, we tried shelves, we tried all kinds of different things. Nothing works. So if you guys are interested in seeing my solution, hang out with me for the next few minutes and I will show you the Nerf gun armory wall. Stay tuned. All right, so for this project, it's pretty simple. You're just gonna need a few items. First off, you're gonna need pegboard. You can get that at pretty much any hardware store, like Home Depot or Lowe's would carry it. You're gonna need pegboard clips or pegboard mounting hardware. Also, the same stores would carry that, pretty inexpensive. You're probably gonna need one or two per gun that you wanna mount. You're also gonna need paint. Now, the pegboard usually comes in white. I chose to actually paint mine black. I thought it looked a little more cool, a little more tactical. So you need, a bucket of latex paint, real cheap stuff, nothing fancy, and probably a paint roller if you don't already have one. And then lastly, you're gonna need whatever kind of lighting you wanna do. You can do SMD, which is surface mounted diodes, I believe, LEDs, they come in strips. Do not buy those at the hardware store. They will charge you twice or three times as much as Amazon. Get them on Amazon, I'll put a link in the description. $10, $15, you can get a really nice set of white ones, or you can get the RGB ones where the kids can kind of change the color on it. I personally chose white for ours because I wanted to be able to just, have a nice white light highlighting the color of the guns on the black background. So once you have all those things, we're ready to get started. So the first thing I recommend doing is getting a wet wipe or a towel and wiping the board down before you paint. It's usually covered in dust from sitting in the hardware store. And then if you did decide to paint the board, go ahead and get your paint ready and start to roll it out. Now I put 2 coats on it, and if you look closely, you'll see that it's still a little bit speckled. If you really want thick coverage, you're probably gonna need at least 3, but for what it is, I wasn't too concerned about it. So one thing I want to mention, guys, when it comes time to actually put this on the wall, if you were to just try to put this directly on the drywall, you'll see here that it's obviously pushed up right against it, and there's no way to get the hooks really in there. So there needs to be a little bit of space, a little bit of a gap. What I would suggest doing is going to the hardware store and getting a couple of these little plastic spacers. So you're just simply going to put your screw through like that, and then on the back side here, put your spacers, and maybe add 2 or 3 of those, and that should give you half an inch or so, 3/4 of an inch, and that'll be enough room for you to actually put the hooks through once you get it up on the wall. Now if you're mounting it directly on 2x4s for some reason, like I'm doing downstairs, then you won't have any issue. Now we're ready to go ahead and remove the masking from whichever lights you chose, and just stick those directly onto the board with the adhesive that it comes with. Now you may notice when you get to the corners and you start doing your bends that it might buckle a little bit. I think what I used was a dab of hot glue, and if you don't have that readily available, you can always just use a piece of like clear packaging tape to kind of give it a little bit extra adhesion to hang on tighter. But once you've done this, you're pretty much ready to mount on the wall. So go ahead and find your spot, get it mounted, and start placing your hardware and racking your guns. All right guys, so let's take a look at the finished design. So we'll head on to the spaceship here. Gonna make a right past the robotics bay, which you guys may have seen in my previous Lego table video. Past networking. And now we've finally reached the armory. It came out pretty good. Everything is nice and neat on the wall. Everything's really well lit, easy to see where it's supposed to go. And to that point, I actually took a photograph of it, how it's supposed to go, laminated it, and printed it so that my son has no excuse. And it says, "Be a good soldier, re-rack your weapons." By making it fun and not a chore, it's much more likely that it gets cleaned up. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you've attempted this project. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And as always, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to help you out. Thanks.